Hello, everybody, and welcome to the future of co-sell, AI-powered partner prosperity. Thank you so much for joining us this Monday evening of reInvent. I know that there are a lot of parties competing for your attention, so I really appreciate you spending some time with us first. So I'm Jessica Rudy, and I'm a partner experience leader at AWS within the partner organization. I'll be joined here today by my colleague Raj Kandaswamy, who is a product leader in the partner services organization. So between Raj and I, our charter is to build and deliver the tools and capabilities that our partners need to engage with AWS and access our resources, benefits, and incentives. With this charter, means we spend a lot of time talking to partners, and we hear some pretty consistent feedback. And on the good side, partners do consistently say that they see the value of partnering with AWS. So according to a 2024 Canalys partner research study, we found that 51% of partners are reporting higher revenue growth, and 65% reported higher close rates, and 54% saw larger deals as a result of co-sell. So the results are tangible for partners who are really engaging with AWS and using our co-sell capabilities as well as our programs and incentives. However, there are some complications with that. We know that this engagement does not come without its challenges. And so we do hear some pretty consistent themes from partners about areas where we have opportunities to make things a little bit better. So whether that be through our one-on-one engagements, through our partner surveys, or through partner roundtables, these three themes are pretty much coming up regularly. And the first one is simplifying the partner experience. And so in this instance, I'm talking very specifically about our tools. And any partner in the room who is working in Partner Central and Marketplace knows exactly what I mean. Right now, you have to navigate between two portals. On one side, you have Partner Central, where you're managing your opportunities, your incentive portfolio, funding requests. And on the other side, you're moving into AWS Marketplace Management Portal, or AMP, to do your listings, your private offers, and anything related to that procurement activity. In a similar vein, partners are consistently saying to us that we need to remove some of the operational overhead that comes with engaging with AWS. This often manifests, especially when you try to scale some of AWS knowledge, resources, and processes out to your sales teams. We hear partners pretty consistently telling us that they feel like they're doing duplicate data entry. It's hard enough to get my salespeople to put the data in the CRM to begin with, and then you're asking me to put it in ACE too? So this is some area where we really have a lot of opportunity to streamline, especially for larger partners who are actually building out their own operations teams with their own tools and processes just to do all of this data sharing. And finally, feedback we hear in almost every conversation is, I love co-sell. I love talking to your account managers. I love going together to our shared customers, but you need to figure out how to scale it. And so we recognize that none of us have infinite headcount. We're never going to have enough account managers to meet with all of your account managers. You're never going to have enough account managers to meet with all of ours. So we recognize that there's an opportunity here because while sometimes this sort of hand-to-hand going in together for large and complex deals makes a lot of sense, in other instances, just giving you some better insight, maybe a recommended next best action, or some interesting data about your customer might actually help you win bigger and faster without having to do all of the coordination tasks that comes along with the collaboration. Oh, so sorry about that. Well, with that, I am really excited to bring Raj up on stage to talk a little bit about what they've been building. So we've been imagining the new partner experience from the perspective of all of these opportunities. And we invested in a design that was simultaneously interested in removing some of this operational burden and overhead, but also establishing a foundation for something that could really scale through agentic capabilities and give you more opportunities to grow in ways that we haven't thought of previously. So now, more officially, let me hand it to Raj.
Thanks, Jessica. Jessica talked about how partners like you like a simplified experience, right? With that, I'm excited to announce the launch of AWS Partner Central in the AWS Management Console. So partners, existing partners, new partners, they can log into the console where you're already managing your existing AWS services and look up for the icon on the screen or search for Partner Central, and you'll be able to manage all your engagements from one experience, which is the AWS Partner Central in the console. This means all your marketplace features, as well as all the co-sell features that you're currently using, all in one unified experience. I'll talk a bit more about that. So while there are many features, I'm going to highlight the key ones, starting with the unified experience. Partners no longer have to access disjointed portal, no longer they have to do context switching, all in one experience now. So partners, when you go to console, like I said, you can access the Partner Central, and then you can come back using IAM and use your AWS account to manage all their activities. With the introduction of IAM, we're also allowing partners to log in through their own identity provider. So you don't have to log in through what we provide. You can have your own identity provider. You can use Identity Center as well and use that for accessing Partner Central. And finally, I talked about simplification, security. I want to talk more about the personalization. So last year in the re:Invent, we announced Partner Assistant in Partner Central. Now we are expanding the capability of Partner Central Assistant to support personalization. What this means is now you can ask questions specific to you, because the assistant knows who you are and what you're looking for, and it provides you personalized recommendation based on the data that you already provided to us. What this means is it knows like which solutions you already have, what are your listings on Marketplace. I'll go more into that in a minute. So I talked about how Partner Central is unifying across all the co-sell features and Marketplace features. I want to take one specific example and walk you through what that means at the feature level. So solutions today, if you remember, you have to create solutions for co-selling and then separately for Marketplace transactions as a listing. Now with the new Partner Central on the console, you can create your solution straight into the Marketplace catalog and use that solution to list on Marketplace. And you can also use the same solution to co-sell. When you create an opportunity, you can tag that same solution. That doesn't mean that you have to list that solution on Marketplace right away, but this will give you an opportunity to list when you're ready to do so. So the solution will get created in the catalog. You can still use that for co-selling, and when you're ready to list it with all the public pricing, you can do that and list it on Marketplace for the buyers to discover. Moving on, I talked about the Partner Assistant, how it supports personalization. Here are a few examples where the assistant can recommend programs based on the solutions you have. So if you have a solution for Gen AI, it can recommend specializations for that solution. Also, it can recommend the funding programs for you. You know, one of the biggest challenge we hear from partners is that we don't know which funding program we should apply. So the assistant can guide you through that process and explain to you what the program requirements are and how to get those funding benefits. And finally, it also does summarization. It looks at all your opportunities, your Marketplace transactions, private offers, and summarize all that information for you so you can stay up to date. And it does all that in 8+ local languages. So it knows who you are, like I said, it knows which workflow you are on. So if you're in a solution workflow, the guidance will be based on that solution workflow. Also, the recommendation in your local language. With that, I want to talk about the partners who are already launched, who are already using Partner Central in the AWS console. So these partners have worked closely with us since the beginning from the design phase and helped us with providing feedback during design, development, and launch. And all these partners have migrated to the AWS console now. And they're using Partner Central, using the AWS account IDs, using IAM. I want to just take a minute to recognize these partners. And these partners, have shared feedback with us post-launch as well, that the launch migration was very smooth. And because we manage all their migration activities in the backend, the partners, all they have to do is link their accounts and go through the IAM setup. And then migration is completely hands-on, as of the field. With that, I want to just talk about the quote from Sean Phillips, VP of Strategic Alliance from Arctic Wolf. So Sean and team, they work closely with us to migrate to the console. And the migration, as you see, they called out that it was pretty smooth. Also, it really cuts down the operational load for your team. So if you have a sales ops team, they don't have to log into multiple portals. They can just come to one portal and manage opportunity in private office. I talked a lot about portals, experience that we're simplifying, personalization, but this all requires you to log in. What if you don't have to log in? And imagine a world where you can do all this from your own CRM or a tool of choice and not come to Partner Central. Last year, we started this journey by launching Opportunity API, and we launched it at last reInvent. And since launch, we've got exceptional feedback from partners on how beneficial the Opportunity API is. Over 100,000 opportunities have been created till date using the Opportunity API. And what the Opportunity API does is eliminates the guesswork. So previously, partners had to pick and choose which opportunity to share with AWS. Now, they no longer have to do that. They can share the entire pipeline, and we look at the pipeline and help them enrich the data using the customer information that we already have. So with that, I want to also talk about what we solved so far. So last year with the launch, we only solved for the sell motion of the entire end-to-end journey. Right? What if we automate the end-to-end journey through APIs? With that, I want to announce the launch of Partner Central APIs, the new suite of APIs starting from account management all the way to managing your benefits, such as funding programs, all from your own CRM. So you no longer have to log into Partner Central. I'm going to talk about a few of these APIs in detail. Previously, I talked about the solution experience, how solution can be now created in the catalog, marketplace catalog, and then use the same solution to transact. Now you can do all that from your own CRM. So if you have a solution in your CRM and you want to list it on Partner Central for co-selling and marketplace transaction, you can do that from your own CRM. The other API I want to talk about is the Benefit API. So you can manage all your funding programs. You can look at the funding program status after you apply for those, and also track the eligibility of those funding programs. The last one is Partner Connections. Last year, we launched the Partner Connection as a feature on Partner Central to help partners connect with other partners in their AWS Partner Network. Now you can do that from your own CRM. So you can discover other partners that you're interested in, and then you can make connections with those partners. This is super helpful even for channel partners to connect with their end customers and work with those partners. With that, I want to recognize the third-party integrators who worked with us and who have adopted our APIs. And these third-party integrators have built solutions using these APIs, and some of these automations are available now in Marketplace. You can purchase these or use these Marketplace listings. And what they offer is deeper integration into your own CRM on how you can use funding or solution creation. And these partners pretty much all have a solution on their own. And they're launching these solutions every day using our APIs. I want to give a quick demo of one of our third-party integrators, Tackle, and how they have integrated the Benefit API into a partner's own CRM. So what's happening on the screen is Tackle, using the Benefit API, is looking at the opportunity, and based on the opportunity that's on the Salesforce, it's recommending what's the best benefit program or the funding program for that particular opportunity. And then it walks you through the whole experience and lets you create that fund request from your own CRM. And it's happening. It's a demo. That's it. So you can do all this funding program management from your own CRM. You don't have to come to Partner Central. So that's one example of how Tackle has used the Benefit API. We know other partners, 3PIs, have similar solutions that are available. With that, I want to talk about the feedback we got from Tackle. Adam Boyle, VP of Product and Engineering, who's one of the initial third-party integrators who worked with us from the Opportunity API adoption as well as now with all the new APIs we're launching. And they've used the benefit API. The example that I showed earlier is using the benefit API, and how they're able to create a one-click application from your own CRM. So far I talked about Partner Central, how we are simplifying the experience, how we are personalizing the experience using Partner Assistant, but there is more. We want to talk about agents. And for that, I'm going to invite Brett to the stage. Thanks, Brett.
Thanks, Raj. Isn't this great? The new APIs that Raj just showcased. This gives you the power to automate the workflows that can drive your whole partner engagements. Whether it's solution management or it is about the opportunity workflows or the benefits, you can automate each piece of it. But that's not all. The icing on the cake is these APIs are also available through the MCP endpoints. What it means is now you can reimagine this whole co-sell experience. Why reimagine? Until recently, if you think about AWS co-selling have been more person to person and very opportunity focused. And AWS has been helping mainly in the sales cycle, but the pre-sales and the post-sales, we did not give enough system attention to it. That has created scaling challenges, as well as it has also left out some of the opportunities on the table. That's the real money. Opportunities that need little insights or the guidance to just get close. But now with APIs and with the MCP endpoints, you can integrate these workflows into your own agents. And then you can automate and create the capabilities which are intelligent, capable enough to drive the intelligence, as well as embed the funding workflows into the sales systems that your salespeople are using. And then you can reimagine the whole experience, how a small insight that can be driven through these tools can integrate it into your own workflow, and the small recommendation can give you the next best action of the opportunity, which your sales rep can directly go and take to the customers. All of that without coming out of your own CRM system. How do we do that? I'm not going to talk about it. Let's hear from a partner who has already developed the solution, which is Agentic and integrated into their own sales CRM system, as well as it has been rolled out to their sales team with a proven efficiency gain. With that, I would like to invite Matt from Rackspace to talk about their co-sell experience and the transformation journey with the agents. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you very much. Again, my name is Matt Normal. I'm with Rackspace. I'm the global AWS Partner lead for the organization. So I appreciate the time today.
Thank you, Matt, for spending time. And we are all eager to learn about your experience and the solution. But before we get to the solution, we'd like to understand the challenge that you encountered. How did you start this journey?
Yeah, so great question. So when we looked at our partnership last year, the challenge wasn't ability. It was about the signal between the two organizations. We simply weren't creating enough referrals for AWS to understand where Rackspace was showing up and how they can properly support our engagements. That lack of context made it hard for AWS to engage. And on top of that, the program requests were slow, delayed, the process was manual, and inconsistent across geos. So the problem wasn't that we weren't winning. The problem was that we weren't actually given the visibility to AWS to support us correctly.
Thanks for giving that visibility challenge. And that is a real problem as the scale comes up, and then, and as Jessica also mentioned, that we do not have enough account managers who have time to go through each and every opportunity. That challenge is real. How did you address that?
Great question. So just make sure I'm on the right one here. Here it goes. So once we exposed the right APIs, everything from the alignment changed almost overnight. The first step was we finally had consistent visibility into our pipeline for AWS. Instead of waiting on manual updates and scattered signals, we could now see opportunities the moment our AWS could now see opportunities the moment our sellers entered those into the CRM. Those updates went live through the process. The referrals became automatic. So as our sellers signed into CRM, the ACE entries were automatically created, and that eliminated delays and ensured AWS received complete and accurate information every single time to support those opportunities. Third, the AWS field team started getting clear sell signals. They didn't have to hunt for information. They could immediately tell where Rackspace was engaged and where they should plug in to, again, support through funding, through additional resources, whatever the case is. Fourth, the data became reliable and consistent. No more gaps, no more regional variations, no more out-of-date fields. AWS was seeing the story at the same time we were seeing it. And finally, alignment sped up dramatically. Because the data was real-time and accurate, Rackspace was able to engage faster, prioritize together, and move in sync. The friction that we had in the fields almost disappeared overnight.
That's good to hear. And this is where something we have always heard about, and this is where we, from last couple of years, we are investing into APIs, hearing about this challenge of sharing the real-time information to get better visibility at scale. And I know a lot of partners, Raj mentioned about few partners who have, like you, who have got the success. But there still are partners out there who haven't started yet. And what will be your message or insights to them to start this journey? How did you start your journey, the support you required?
Yeah, that's a great question, because when I started with Rackspace in December of 2024, we launched a manual initiative where we took over 1,000 AWS referrals and manually entered those into the system and launched them. That one exercise finally gave AWS visibility into our motion, and it immediately exposed how limited the old process has been for us. AWS, overnight, I started getting phone calls and questions and inquiries around who are you, what are you doing, and how can we better partner on those. We brought those results to our president, and the impact was obvious. He instantly gave full approval, cleared the slates, and said, whatever you need, we have your support. You have our support. Just go ahead and move forward. We integrated our CRM leader, who pulled in the right engineers, and we realized it wasn't just a configuration tweak. We actually had to go through and put in automation, and that cross-functional was critical to the success of this operation. Over the next 90 days, we built a direct CRM to AWS integration using your APIs and third-party tooling. ACE referrals became automatic, opportunities progressed, removing a huge amount of manual seller work. We went live on April 11th, and in the first month, we sent 900 referrals to AWS, making a statement that we have arrived. And for the next 5 straight months, we broke a 4-year referral record where we were just peaking out the scales. And for the first time, AWS had a clear, real-time visibility into where Rackspace was winning and how they should engage with us.
That's great. And that's good to hear, like you got the support from your engineering leadership as well as from your sponsors. And then it doesn't take months and months to integrate. I think as you can see the journey, thanks for sharing that. It's a matter of a couple of months where you can really set it up and running. And then with agents, we can definitely accelerate it. You mentioned about that you also have that agentic solution, you call it Radar. Tell us more about it. What does that enable?
Yeah, 100%. So that's really where we'll start with the operations, because this is where the foundation was built. Before Radar, sellers had to manually enter ACE opportunities directly into the platform, and every region did this differently, right? So now that the AI agent sits on top of the CRM and the AWS APIs, automatically creating and updating and managing that ACE activity, it removes admin work, keeps the data clean, and ensures AWS sees what we see instantly and consistently. The next piece is the go-to-market pillar. This is where the AI agent really starts to show its value. It analyzes the AWS signals, it's using CRM data, it's using third-party intelligence, and it surfaces opportunities that matter the most for our AWS or our sellers aligning to AWS. And instead of sellers guessing what to pursue, the AI agent identifies and accelerates those opportunities, helping teams go deeper and wider into their accounts. The third, and solves one of the biggest gaps for us, is the inconsistent co-sell motion across the regions. This is what we call the first mile alliances. So no matter the size of the organization, we're starting to really collaborate with the AWS team in the field because it's taken those opportunities and the data that we have surfaced and sharing that with our PSM AWS counterparts to start that initiative.
That's great, and I really liked your thoughtful and the holistic approach towards this transformation, going from operations to go-to-market. So you really have picked up the use cases and then build upon on that. Definitely now this is being rolled out to your sales team. What are the outcomes you are seeing? What are the results shows and tell you?
Yeah, so let's start with pipeline visibility. I think that was the immediate first thing that we've seen. Before the integration, again, AWS simply couldn't see where Rackspace was active. But once we turned on the real-time CRM to AWS synchronization, the gap disappeared. AWS could finally see our opportunities the moment they progressed, and the alignment jumped immediately. Co-sell activities surged 72% year over year, and that's when we started breaking the month-over-month referrals. The second impact was data accuracy. Previously, ACE was manual and different. Again, it varied per region and how that was getting entered. But with this consistent process, now the data was coming in clear, concise, again, showing AWS what resources they need, how they could best support our initiatives, and plug in the right resources early on in the sales process, so we're removing that friction in the field. The third is the seller efficiency. We were putting the sellers back into where they belong, what they do best, and it's in front of the customers, right, and aligning with AWS. Not doing that manual data entry and updating ACE and did the solution ID change, do I need to update the MRR? This was all happening with automation now every time they updated their opportunity within CRM.
That's critical. I think that's important that you have taken away the undifferentiated task and then really put the sales team to work on the relationship and strategic alliances. That's great. And thanks for sharing these outcomes. And a lot of partners will see the benefit out of it, and the real value is there to be seen. I do want to understand, like now you have seen all the new APIs that have come up. I'm definitely looking at your journey. You are not going to stop here. So what does your roadmap look like, and where are you heading next?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as we look ahead, our focus is simple. Build capabilities that improve seller performance, deepen the AWS alignment, and reduce operation friction. When we don't build feature in isolation, or we don't build features in isolation, we prioritize what drives the most value to our customers and sellers for AWS co-sell. As AWS exposes more and more APIs, Radar will naturally take those on, and then we'll continuously expand our offering. Marketplace intelligence, one that's really interesting for me. So as we look at marketplace, it's beginning to be a major signal driver for AWS and our partners. So the buyer intent and workload. So the idea is to get to a point where we're plugging that data into Radar, and the sellers start to identify earlier and align and go-to-market strategies. This allows the teams earlier in the cycle they can add value to the sellers. The predictive model comes right after that. So we start learning which workload, which use case, which buyer is starting to be the one that we should be in front of with that AI insight of what we should be talking about as well. So the story starts to become very interesting with the APIs as you guys start to share information.
That's great. That's really good insights, and I'm excited where you're taking this tool, both for your internal as well as expanding the value proposition of it. What will be your closing thoughts and insights that you want to share with this audience to take away with?
Yeah, it's a great question. I continuously look at it as the future of co-selling is here. AWS has built an amazing foundation, and it's for us to build on top of that, utilizing MCPs, APIs, third-party enrichment, whatever the case is. But it's really separating, and it's the differentiator for all the partners to say, if I leverage this data, I can, no matter my size, I can start to scale and run at the speed with AWS to help our customers transform. And all these steps are incremental. It's, let's put a building block in, let's do one thing at a time. It doesn't have to be this major lift and shift. But every step is going to be a step towards that transformation that you ultimately want to be in. So I say plug in your first API, start to leverage it, and get your teams moving at an efficient pace, and then continue to build on top of it.
Thank you. Thanks, Matt, for sharing these insights. And definitely you have shown the journey. Thank you for sharing this with this audience. I totally believe that this audience will really see the art of possible here, and it's not like there's whole set of APIs you have to integrate. You can start with one and then keep on building on top of that. With that, thank you. And then I would like to challenge each and every partner here to start thinking about this future state, which is more agentic, and think about a state where if you onboard a sales rep in your organization on day one, when they log in into your own CRM system or your collaboration tool, they have the real-time insights about the customer and what does selling with AWS looks like. They have a funding recommendation to take to the customer, and then not just take that recommendation and wait for it. If they really are convinced about that, it's a single click button experience that they can look into and then execute the whole workflow without even thinking about the data entries, the multiple manual forms that to be done. And then it's happening all in your own CRM system. So I definitely suggest that take benefit of this and build the scaling core cell, which is intelligent, automated, and well integrated into your workflows. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
I would like Jessica to come back and share the wrap up.
So if you're sitting in this room now and you want to take Prarit's challenge, we have to start thinking about what the next steps might be. It was great to hear about what Rackspace did with the building blocks of the APIs that have then evolved into agentic workflows to really scale their business into record-breaking quarters. So you might be thinking to yourself, okay, this sounds great, but how do I do this? How do I even go about a transformation like this? And so before we jump into that, I just want to recap some of the things that we reviewed today. So we started with 3 themes of feedback that we hear pretty consistently from partners, starting with the need to simplify the partner experience. And so we talked about navigating between multiple portals. Now you no longer have to do that. With the new Partner Central on the AWS console, you can enjoy all of your Partner Central features in the same navigation and behind the same login as all of your marketplace features. And so not only is this going to save a few clicks, you also have the IAM user management capabilities. And so if anybody in this room has ever come up against a cap of, 20 ACE managers or 20 Alliance team members and said, okay, I see a hand over there, and said, oh my God, how am I supposed to scale my global business with just 20 people in this role? Guess what? IAM takes away that challenge entirely. You are in complete control of who sees and does what in Partner Central, and even better, you can use your SSO solution to manage all of these users. So this should take some of the work off of you as the Alliance lead. I also wanted to call out a couple of the features that Raj reviewed that are really kind of unifying the experience even further. So starting with that unified solution experience. Now, when you create a solution, you are simultaneously updating that text in all of AWS's catalogs. So if today you're making one solution record in Partner Central and then moving over to Marketplace and creating a different listing, that is going to be far more streamlined. You still have personalization options, you still have different ways that you can go to market in Marketplace, and nobody is requiring you to list any of these solutions publicly, just to be clear. But it really does unify that path and make it a little bit more simple for you to manage all of these solution listings. And also we reviewed the Partner Assistant, which today answers your questions. It does that in Partner Central, but tomorrow, as you can see, not only is it personalized and context aware, so it's responding to the workflow that you're currently in, but it's also giving you brand new capabilities like show me a summary of all of my ACE opportunities. This is really going to help you identify where you maybe have some stalled pipeline. Maybe some funding requests are sitting open and unacquired. So you can use this Partner Assistant to really streamline some of those workflows in Partner Central, and again, available in more than 8 languages. So for anybody who's running a global company, this is going to be a welcome introduction. We also talked about the fact that there was a fair amount of operational overhead when it felt like you had to do duplicate data between your own CRM and tools and with AWS's tools. And we addressed that through the API integration. You heard Raj talk about some of the success that we've had with the Opportunity API, which has powered most CRM integrations. And I do want to call out that for any partners in the room that are interested in the partner matching engine, partners do see greater results and greater recommendations when they are using an integration. So now, let's build on that value that the Opportunity API has given us and automate the full journey. So imagine you have all of your leads management that your marketing team is following up on after an event. Leads are now supported through APIs. You can manage your solution listings through APIs. You can manage your accounts through APIs. Just build all of that directly into your workflow, and then you don't have to create all of these secondary enablement capabilities or any other things that you're doing to bring your teams along with you. And finally, you heard Matt on stage talking about Rackspace and all of the success they've had. And a lot of that started with the API integration, but then has grown and become even more significant with the agentic capabilities that they've built in. So these are all of the things, all of the potential solutions that may address some of the challenges that you all are feeling as partners when it comes to really scaling your engagement with AWS. So what are your options? Basically two. You can take these building blocks and build a solution yourself, just like Rackspace did. And this is going to give you the most control, the most customization, but I am not going to be surprised to hear from people in this room that this is not really an option for them. And what I hear consistently is, Jessica, my dev team is working on solutions for our customers. They are never going to turn their attention. They are never going to give me their time to optimize our relationship with AWS. And that's fine, because several of the partners that you have seen on the screen, whether they be the launch partners or the partners that we were highlighting with API features, they are really invested in building out these solutions and helping you with this process. So you can hire a partner to really accelerate your move into an integrated experience. I want to take a moment, too, to acknowledge that there are incentives available if you are interested in doing this, and actually in either sense. So last year, we started an initiative called the Adoption Accelerator, and it's still kind of in a preliminary program phase, but basically what it has done, it has offered partners different incentives to accelerate CRM integrations. And so currently we offer partners $10,000 in AWS credits for any net new CRM integration. And that is whether you go with one of the first party options, you could just directly use the APIs, or if you hire one of the partners, maybe one of the partners who has a solution that they can manage this for you. So that funding is available to you now. We funded 132 partner integrations in 2025. And I want to more than 10x that next year. So please help me by utilizing this capability. And feel free to chat with me after the session if you want more details. But right now, like I said, 10K in credits for anybody who is implementing one of these. And if you keep an eye out, we will continue to evolve these incentives as we learn more about how partners are really using the new APIs and capabilities. But I have to stop here. And I have to pause because none of this happens until you migrate to the new Partner Central. The APIs are really reliant on you being on the new experience on the console. So that's your first step, easy first step. So what do you need to do? Well, it's a pretty simple three-step process to migrate. There are a couple of prerequisites that you see there on the screen. The first one is linking your existing Partner Central account to an AWS account. I imagine several people in this room have already done that because we've been talking about it for a year. You might have picked up a pin from me last year, really encouraging you to do that linking. So once that account is linked, that's going to tell AWS where you want your Partner Central account to move to. You also want to take care to onboard your users to IAM because once you're in the new experience, you don't want any disruption to their business, so you'll need to do that onboarding. And then the third step is to just schedule the migration. And the screen you're seeing up there is actually on the homepage of Partner Central right now. You can self-service this migration scheduling, and you can choose a time that makes sense for you. So whether that be off hours or on a weekend, anything to avoid disruption to the business. So pretty simple, and you can actually get started as soon as you log into Partner Central. But if you're feeling any trepidation, I also want to highlight that we have several partners who are offering what we're calling migration services. And so what are they here to help you with? Basically, all those steps that you just saw on the previous screen. So let's say you're not sure which AWS account you want to move your Partner Central to. Or maybe you're managing multiple Partner Central accounts, so you want some advice. Maybe you don't have a great relationship with your cloud admin and you don't really know how to do IAM. All of these things can be helped by working with one of the partners on the screen. Best part, these services, for the most part, they are offering them free to you. So there's really nothing to hold you back from working with one of these partners. Even if you're feeling pretty good about it, you can contact them, see how their migration went, see if they have any advice, any best practices, can help you see around corners before you actually decide to make the move. So with all of this in mind, whether you do it yourself or with a partner, I am going to encourage you to take that next step as soon as possible. So that's why I said, while you're here, and I meant here in Vegas, but here in the room is great too. You can bookmark the Partner Central blog post announcement. If you're having any trouble with that link, see me afterwards. I can help you find it. But this was the APN blog announcement. You probably saw that on LinkedIn today. The Partner Network did republish that. And so in this announcement, what we are explaining is not only the new Partner Central experience, giving you a little bit of resources for the migration, but also highlighting all of those partners that I just had up on the screen who can actually help you with those migration services. The other thing I really want to encourage you to do is visit the booth. It's 884. And so when I say the booth, this is actually a series of booths within the Partner Pavilion that are entirely devoted to this launch, to the new Partner Central experience, and to helping partners like you get through those prerequisite steps by giving you the advice, the guidance, anything you need to complete those steps and schedule the migration. And I beg of you, do not run out of the room when I say this, because it doesn't start till tomorrow. But the first 50 partners to actually schedule their migration while they're here in Vegas get a pair of Metaspecs. So, but like I said, the booth's not set up. They're not ready for you until tomorrow. But you might want to make an early morning trek over there before your first session. Finally, I want to highlight a couple other sessions of interest, starting with PEX210. So this is leveraging partner programs and AWS Marketplace for Success. This is where Matt Yanchishin and Julia Chen are going to review all of the capabilities and the changes to partner programs that have launched this year. And it's going to give you a really good sense of everything that's available to you to continue growing your profitability. This new Partner Central experience will be one of many exciting things that they announce at that talk. I'll also highlight that PEX113, Unlocking Partner Success with AWS Partner Central, is a lightning talk that you can attend if you just did not get enough of Prarit and Raj today. They will stand up on stage in the Expo Center on Thursday afternoon, and they'll talk a little bit more about the new Partner Central experience. If you want a little brush up or a little bit more motivation, maybe you bring your teammates with you and say, let's migrate now, I want a pair of Metaspecs. And then finally, PEX210, AI-powered co-selling, how AWS and partners accelerate growth together. This is going to be an overview with Akshay Menon and Aaron Barton on all of the capabilities and the strategies that partners have used to successfully co-sell with AWS. So please take the opportunity while you're here in Vegas to talk to the experts, get every piece of information that you need to feel really comfortable moving into the new experience so that you can start leveraging all the new capabilities, getting the more efficient interaction with AWS, and starting to set that foundation for a truly transformative year for you all. So with that, I want to say thank you and open up the floor to any questions you folks have.